Over. Roger, understand. Go for landing. Eagle looking great. Houston, the Eagle has landed.
What time is it?
5:30, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'm Graham Nolan, and I'm losing my voice. So I got a cold in my throat, and we're going to try and get through this tonight as we talk a little bit about the costs of comics. Now, there's been some complaints I've heard, people that are unwilling to try crowdfunding for a couple of reasons, but the one I want to touch on today is when they say that it costs too much. It's $25. So let's compare and contrast what your other options are when you buy and support corporate comics. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, and I'm glad you are here to join me. Let's just say hello to everybody who showed up early. Here on the Steadfast is the first one out of the gate. Chris H is here, Kevin Thomas, Austin Colton, JP Roca, just call me insane, Matt Cisco, Nicodemus Serpico, that's a cool name, True Believer, Survive Infinity, Spaceman, Cole King, Jiminy Cricket. Did I say H for Heretic? Well, he's here. Fat Samurai, Moon Doggy, Arnash, Vaughn Coleman. Hello, Vaughn. True Straw Hat Guy, and Rachel Brinkley. All right. It's great to see you all. So, we talk about comics. Traditionally, they are periodicals, cheap and relatively inexpensive to make. The cost of what used to be a cheap and inexpensive to make comic book under those periodical what's the word I'm looking for, deadlines that Marvel and DC produce, something like this. Okay, this happens to be one of mine. It's a couple of years old, so the price is slightly lower. It's $3.99. These comics now are typically $4.99, and I believe Batman is $5.99 when I looked last time. So, what are you getting for your? Let's just use the $4.99. That might be the number that's more common for books. So you get 20 pages of content in this. Now, back when I started, the standard was 22 pages, and they cut off 2 pages in the early 2000s, I believe, to cut back on their costs. They print it on, it's no longer on newsprint, but they print it on what's called coated stock paper. But this paper here, you can see is very, very flimsy. Okay. This is called 60-pound weight. The cover is maybe 70 pound. It's not that much heavier than the interior pages. Okay, saddle stitched. Okay, that means that you've got 2 staples holding it all together. The standard comic book periodical. Okay, but what you also have in here for your $4 or $5, or if it's Batman, $6, you got story, commercial or ad, story ad, story ad, story ad, story, story ad, story ad, story ad, story, story ad, story ad, story, story. And then the rest is ad, house ad, and then the back cover is an ad as well. So this thin little thing of 20 pages of content is filled with a whole bunch of shitty ads. And that costs you $4.99. That comes out to, let me see what my math was here, 25 cents a page. Okay. Now, when you compare that with a lot of the crowdfunding, now, I'm not going to speak for everybody. You know, I only know my production costs and my numbers and my materials that I use. So I'm going to use myself as an example, but there are many guys that I know that produce the same kind of quality, use the same kind of materials to upgrade it. So I'm not going to speak for them, but I'll tell you from my perspective what goes into it. So let's start with that cover. Okay. Here's an example. I just got these cover samples back from my printer for Ghost of Metacumba. All right. This is the Kelly Jones cover. All right. This is cardstock. You can see how thick this is. Okay. It's cardstock. It's also, I don't know if I can get the angle in here. You can see it's embossed. This is the inside. There you go. See those edges? Those are the spines of the guy. So on the outside, or here, this whole guy is embossed. Okay. The cover is also coated. It has a laminate on it. So when you hold it, it feels velvety. It's not slick and cheap feeling. Then you get to the interior pages. Where the hell are my interior pages? Hold on. Yeah, I'll use this. Okay, here's a Joe Frankenstein. Okay, same thing. Cover, same stock. It's called a 12-point C2S. It means that it's coated. It's a cover stock, and it's two-sided. All right. I know this may sound technical, but those are the printing terms. The logos on this particular one are have what's called a spot UV on it, so you can see it. I'm trying to hold it in the light here, so you can see the reflection on it. There we go. So it's got a spot UV. It's also coated. This has a flat laminate on it, so it's not reflective. The cover is not reflective. It's not glaring anywhere, and it feels really great in your hands. Then you get to the interior pages. All right, these are 70-pound stock, so it's 10 points higher than the other stuff. Much thicker, heavier paper. Costs more to ship, but it's definitely a nicer paper. I opt for to have this paper upgraded to a matte. Is it matte? I think it's a matte finish. So again, you don't see all the reflection. You know, there's a very minimal amount of reflection on that when you compare that with the slick paper in here. See, look at that gloss. So when you're reading this comic outdoors or under a light, you got to angle it sometimes because you're going to get all that reflected light on there, and you don't have to do that with mine. So the quality of the actual material is a lot better. Now, this is 72 pages of story and content. No ads. I don't even put names on the cover. I don't like that. I want this thing to look not like it was, shit out for a newsstand. I don't like to have titles on the cover other than, if this had a subtitle on it, like the next Joe Frankenstein is going to be called Joe Frankenstein, the Eye of Ra. Yeah, that would be on here, but there's not going to be a big burst. It's not going to say by Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon here or anything like that. It says that here. So I don't clutter it up that way. There's also not a single ad. in the book until you get to the back cover, where I reserve that for my house ads, my coming attraction stuff. So the point being is that, okay, you got 72 pages of a higher quality. And what's that going to cost you? It's going to cost you, let me see here, 34 cents a page is what you're paying for this. And this is 30 cents a page. So I think the other thing is, depending on what crowdfunder you go with, you're not going to get all those political and social justice warrior nonsense in the comics. You know, you're getting straight up stories, fun action adventure or horror or whatever that genre may be, and they're just telling good stories. That's what we're all about. That's what independent's all about. That's what CG is all about. It's just the freedom to tell your kind of stories. If I felt there was a market for that stuff, I still wouldn't do it. It's just not. It's not the kind of stories I like to tell or want to read, for that matter. So the other complaint a lot of folks have about crowdfunding, and particularly anybody outside the US, is shipping. And shipping is a bitch. There's no two ways about it. The costs of all the postal services have gone up, but particularly overseas stuff. Canada, England added a VAT tax to a lot of things, but if you mark it as a book, I think you can avoid the VAT tax, because I don't think they've figured out to tax that yet, but they will. I have complete confidence that they will. So I wish there was something we could do about that, but there really isn't. I take a loss on almost every overseas package that I ship out. I think I charge for, like Joe Frankenstein, I think it's $20 for Canada. It usually costs us, $25 to ship to parts of Canada. So, I wish I could tell you there was, something better that we could do about that, but unfortunately, there really isn't at this point. Oh, let me just grab this real quick. We have a wonderful super chat by True Believer. Thank you, sir, for that $10. Alternatives newsprint floppies are less than $3. The crowdfunded book from Graham and other CG creators are like prestige editions. Yeah, I like both approaches and think that they are all worth the money. Well, thank you, True Believer. I appreciate your support. The other thing I meant to say is I mentioned that this is what is called perfect bound. It has a spine, and the cover is glued on. Well, I can show you actually right here, because I just got the Ghost of Matacumba Key back. The guts of the book that you can see here are, hold on a second. There we go. These are stapled. So these are batches of paper that all go together. And then when they're bound like this, then they're bound within the cover and glued like that, and then you'll have your perfect bound. So DC Comics used to call those prestige books. That's what the format that they called them, and they're really nice. They're really nice. And the thing to remember too is that crowdfunding is not the same as periodical publishing. We are taking the time to produce a vision, a story that we feel passionate about, and hope that you feel passionate about. And the fact that if you back a campaign that becomes very successful, then that is affirmation that you are passionate about the idea and the story. And so, it takes us longer to do it. Most of us are one-man shows. I'm a one-man show. I have Julie, who helps with organization and shipping and fulfillment, and she's wonderful at that. Thank God, she handles that end of things, so I can work on the creative. But not everybody has that, so it takes a long time to produce these things. So, in other words, this is boutique publishing. We're creating, artistic visions in our stories. There's a commercial aspect too, of course, but we're not rushing things out under predetermined monthly deadlines. So we can take the time to produce better quality product, use better materials. And the other thing too, I forgot to mention, is that for your $5 here, this is what you get. There's your five. This is a $5 bill right here. Okay. So for your $20 bill, only 34 cents a page, you get a lovely thank you letter from me. You get a trading card. If you signed up for the campaign in order to book, then you are one of the few that get the sign-up trading cards. You get a bookmark. You get a die-cut vinyl sticker with a logo. That one came out a little small, though, I have to say. And then you also get mini prints. This one will be signed. Another mini print. And all of that comes with the backing of a book, vis-a-vis through the campaign in Indiegogo. So I think that is a terrific value when you compare it to what the big companies are giving you. So yeah, it seems like a lot. Then there's the shipping, of course, you have to add into your final cost, just like I got to add it into mine. But that's just the way it is, As I said, there's not a lot we can do about the shipping. So let's see what else we got here. Well, a lot of folks commenting here. Hello. Well, Jimmy Cricket disagrees. He said he thinks they are too expensive. Well, I hope that you heard what I had to say and the breakdown of costs and what you're paying per page. And hopefully I've changed your mind. Kelsey screwing the pooch on graybeards. I don't even know. All right. Austin says, I hate to be that guy, but I also think that shipping and late books impact why people don't want to spend the cash. Well, late books, I already addressed that in the previous stream, and you know how I feel about that. That's, in my opinion, time management. When you determine what your delivery date is, you have to know what your own production schedule is like. I've been doing this 40 years. I know exactly how long it takes me to do things. And you have to know that. You got to know every aspect of your business. So yeah, I agree. I think late shippings does impact. But if you haven't backed before, you wouldn't know that. And just like anything else, it's not a one size fits all. There's plenty of bad apples in crowdfunding. No doubt about it. There's plenty of bad apples when you buy a car. There's plenty of bad apples when you you buy stuff from Marvel and DC. The buyer has to do their research and figure out, well, who do I trust? Who do I want to get behind? And then do so. And hopefully they make the right choice, and then they'll be back. But you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's what I'm trying to say. Vaughn Coleman says, Hail Graham, great topic. As someone about to create my first comic, price is a heavy topic on my head at the moment. I need your wisdom. Well, I hope I imparted some to you, Vaughn. Rachel Brinkley says, hello. Hello, Rachel. Dan Genovese says, good evening. Austin wants to know what printing costs, and do you have minimum books per print run? It's hard to give you a price on that because it depends on printers. It depends on print run. It also depends on page count and the type of page paper you use. There's so many variables, and it can swing. But I'll tell you this, the more copies you order, the lower your price point per copy. So it always behooves you to, if let's say you crowdfund a book and you have 500 books sold, or 500 backers come on board. Well, to print 500 books is gonna really hit you in the wallet. But to print 1,500 books and then sell them later on your website or at conventions and stuff like that, you could drop your price point per unit down pretty low. So I always encourage everybody, just double it if you can, but definitely 20% over. Oh, thank you, Stat, for posting that. Yeah, my next campaign will be lighting up on February 7th. It'll be for Return to Monster Island, and I ran a poll on X, and people want me to reprint the original Monster Island, which I'm doing, and will be part of that campaign as well. So you'll be able to get Monster Island in the same formats as all the other Compass Comics books, and including Return, and then the upcoming Escape from Monster Island, which will come out later this year. So please sign up. If you sign up, just like before, you sign up and you get to the front of the line for shipping, and you also get the sign up trading cards, which nobody else gets except for people that sign up and purchase on launch day. So it's a good deal. Doesn't cost you a thing to sign up. Wiley Draws says newsprint rules. Okay. It's not the same, though. I have to say. I mean, I've seen Pete's newsprint books, and they're beautiful, and it is newsprint, but the printing process is different. There's a much higher resolution. The screens that they used to use in the old comics on newsprint, they don't use any longer. You don't have to do that kind of stuff anymore. So the colors don't look quite the same as they used to with those dot patterns on comics, which I kind of miss. There's only 65 color choices at one point. Then it went up to 85. And then when Photoshop came in, then sky's the limit. Ben Tittleson says, I don't think the books are too expensive. It's the shipping that's the killer. The leap in quality and length of the books are well worth the extra money. Also, you get all sorts of extras. Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. Excuse me, guys. Yeah. Paulo, I charge 20 to Canada, and I live in Buffalo. So, I mean, I could go over to the Peace Bridge and throw you the damn comic, but it still costs me $30 to ship it across that bridge. I'm just telling you, I wish it were different, but it's not. You got to get your prime minister or somebody to lower that shit. JBot Art says, good evening, Graham. I just wanted to say when I think of Batman, I think of your art. Wow. That's very kind. Thank you so much. How many are actual story pages? Depends on the book. Um, uh, for Ghost of Matacumba Key, it's 72 pages, 64 pages of story. And then the other pages are behind the scenes stuff, process work. There's some text and historical aspects that I put in there as well. So it's all cool content. It's sort of like the stuff on the DVDs, you know. It's the way I think of it, you know, the extras, if you will. But the stories are typically mine are typically 64 pages. Comics Cake books are like proper graphic novels. They're so much better. I agree. The wisdom of Huron the steadfast in fighting will sort itself out. It always does. That is true. There's always disagreements going on with people. It's the nature of the beast, particularly when you're dealing with a bunch of creatives and business all connected together. Sequential Treasure says too many people expect high quality for the cheap quality price. Things just don't work that way. That is true. You can have it fast or you can have it good. Obid 2001. Well, the story, content, and fantastic art make Comics Gate Comics well worth the price. My only dissatisfaction with CG creators is when they turn their back on fellow creators or attack customers. I don't know about turning back their backs on fellow creators. I mean, I always try to push independent guys. You know, I have the Independent Comic Showcase, which I do every now and then to when I see books that I think need some push. And you know, I don't know of anybody existing that gets their back turned on them. It's usually a disagreement that forces them away or forces somebody else away. And again, you know, that's personalities. You know, I stay out of that fray. Focus on my books and my business. Yeah, Huron. Yeah, I mean everybody in Canada is complaining about it. I do too. You know, because you know when I gotta take a loss on those, but I want my Canadian friends to be able to read my books. You know, so make sure when the next election comes around, you vote the right way. Get a new prime minister, a new cabinet, or whatever, however they run it. Well, thank you, Kevin Thomas. Compass Comics are worth every penny. You put out a solid product, Graham. Excellent. It's a personal choice, Vaughn. I don't like it myself. I don't like to see names on the cover. I think it clutters it up. It takes away the beauty and design of the cover. There's plenty of room for names on the spine, you know. And then that way also, you know, when it's sitting on a shelf, you know, it's right there. You can see it. It's cool. Austin Colton says he's totally fine with ads at the back, but not between the story pages. Well, ads are ways that Marvel and DC generate other income. You know, companies pay for those spots. Doesn't lower your cost of your book. You're still paying 25 cents. Or what was it? 30 cents. You're paying 30 cents a page, even though there's ads in there. So that extra income didn't lower the cost to you. But now it makes the comic go junky because you got to, you know, you're pacing a story. When you're telling a story, you're pacing it out, and you never know where they're going to stick those ads. And so you could have a beautiful setup here in that final panel, that last panel on the lower right-hand side. And your right-hand page is a Snickers bar ad. So, you get to that, and you're like, oh, what? And then you got to turn the page to find it. I don't like that. I'm not taking extra money from ads. I'm not selling ads to line my pockets. And I don't think they should either. I think you put out a really great product and price it the way it needs to be, because the ads don't lower the cost. If that's the whole point of it, because I can tell you what. When they're printing these books, they're printing it in the tens of thousands, and at one time in the hundreds of thousands. So their per unit cost was down to probably 30 cents a comic, maybe even less. And they're charging $4. Now they got a distributor too, and there's other costs in there, but the per unit cost was very, very low to produce those floppies. So I don't see the reason for ads. I'm in the UK, so I have to double the price. It's like £40 for every book I order. I'd much rather do that, though, than buy shitty comics from DC. Well said, sir. Huzzah! Huzzah! Huron said he enjoyed the Joe Frankenstein books. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, now I just railed against ads, but that does not include house ads. I mean, house ads are fun, because they're more informational. They're there to tell you that, look what's coming up next. Ta-da! Return to Monster Island. It gets people ginned up. It's cool. Oh my goodness, I missed a bunch of super chats here. I'm sorry, guys. Let me backtrack here. To Gab, formerly GEC812. It's a $5 Australian. Not sure what the A is. Weren't some CG creators mailing Australian purchases in bulk to Bancroft, Barton Brothers, can't remember which then go in the cheaper local mail networking? I don't know. I don't know about that. But thank you for that super chat. Vero Frady, thank you for that $2. Happy with everything I've gotten from you. Thanks. Thank you. Mike D83 for a $5 pound sterling. Thank you. Why does Hollywood in TV and film not get or portray Bane properly at all? Well, except Batman, the animated series. That's a question for the ages, my friend. I have no idea why they can't get that right. Well, maybe I do have an idea. Maybe the idea is they don't contact Chuck and I for some input. That wouldn't hurt, would it? Here on the Steadfast, thank you for that $5 Canadian. I understand you have no control over shipping rates. I have backed all your campaigns and never was disappointed. Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate all my backers, and the return backers particularly. It's like we're all part of a team, And I think that's the coolest thing. And when I see everybody in the chats, the familiar faces and names, and then meeting them at conventions when they introduce themselves as their nom de guerre, if you will, it's always very cool. They'll say, "Oh yeah, my name's Tom Smith," and I'm like, "What do you go by?" And he goes, "Michael Bancroft." No, just kidding. Hey, Michael. Dan Genovese. There's a guy I met. He was in the chat all the time, and I met Dan at the New Jersey Garden State Art Festival. He had some cigars and bourbon with us that night. Pardon me, guys. I had this cold just entered into my throat like last night. Each hour of the day, it gets a little deeper in there. And I got to do Pop XP at 9. Wow, that sucks. He gets taxed for everything, double taxed on fuel for cars. Yeah, you guys are heading down the socialist gangplank there, guys. Is staple bound not doable for a 64-page book? Yeah, Vaughn, you can saddle stitch a 64-page book, but what you tend to run into is that when your book is laying, it'll look more like this when it's laying flat. It's going to bow because of the page count and because your cover is going to be pinched on the edge instead of having a spine that's going to go wrapping around it. So that's something to consider. Well, this is the ash can, by the way. Ghost of Metakumaki ash can. It has all the, it's taped shut. Oh, well. Well, you'll see it if you ordered it. A lot of love for Pizza Medi's Alterna books here. Excellent. You guys should definitely back his stuff. Gerald Lang says cover stock and interior stock choices along with the right finish for the type of art makes a big difference in the final product. Absolutely. And there's so many options. I mean, I'm always looking for different things for like one of the options for Ghost of Metakumaki was I did a glow in the dark logo on one of the black and white covers. It's going to be super cool. I wanted it to look like a Universal monster movie that you'd be sitting, black and white, and it's glowing like you're watching the screen. There's so many cool different types of coatings and things the printers can do these days. So we'll see what we come up with for Monster Island. Ben says also it makes us feel part of the process. So it's much more exciting when you get the books. Oh, yeah, because you guys are on the ground floor. What I find a lot of people make the mistake is that they think they're customers. And there's a big difference between a customer and a backer. A customer is somebody who sees a product that is already made and says, well, that looks interesting enough. I'm going to buy that. So they don't have any skin in the game other than whether they're going to like that product or not. A backer is something very different. The backer comes along and says, I believe in you and I believe in your product, which has not been made. And I'm willing to pay up front for that so that it can get made. So the backer is something very special. I mean, I love my customers too. You know, the people that shop on my website. That's great. It's the American way. But backers have a special place in my heart because they're the one with the trust. They're the ones that say, "We see your vision, and we're going to get behind it." And it hasn't been made yet. So that then they see the process of it being created, and they see more pages come in. It gets them excited, and it is like a party, you know. And then we have the closeouts and stuff. Oh, and everybody's all ginned up, and oh, I got to get this. It's so much fun that everybody's in that together. So you're absolutely right, Ben. That's one of the aspects which I think is so much cooler than just, you know, if even if I was well heeled enough that I could take the time to make a comic with no money coming in, you know, let's say it takes me a year to make it and then sell it, you know, it's a very different thing than having it backed and creating it, because you got people in your corner that you're responsible for while you're doing it. And that's a good motivator, at least for me. It's a good motivator to get up every morning and get work done on it, because they made a commitment to me and I made a commitment to them. Dan Genovese likes the thank you letters. I started that from the very beginning. You know, these are one of the most expensive things that, versus all the other stuff that I have printed. Is the thank you letters. I can't believe it, but it really is. But I like to do it. I think it's important. Mike TV Dub says Graham offers great value and quality for his products, unlike some other comic book producer that shall remain nameless. Let's see. I think I got I got some more super chats. So Austin Colton for $15. That's a good cigar, sir. Have a good cigar. Have a cigar on me, Graham. Can't wait for Ghost of Metacumba Key. That Kelly Jones cover you showed off looks amazing. Yeah, it does. Let's show it off again. Okay. Absolutely no glare on it. How awesome is that? And then when you feel it, you can feel his bones right here. It's really cool. And my pal Greg Wright did some just amazing colors on that, right? Look at that. I love this purple down here in the, it looks like lava actually, you know, rather than swamp water, but I don't care. It looks cool. That's what it's all about. Does it look cool? Then it's right. And Moondoggy for $9.99. He wanted to contribute to Graham's Cigar Fund. And thanks for the great books, Graham. Thank you, Moondoggy. That's awesome. Kino Reviews, any cons lined up with you and Chuck yet? Or is that hush hush? If so, I'll bring the bourbon and cigars. Well, Chuck is going to be at MegaCon this year, I believe. I will not be because my first grandbaby is due that day. So I will be sticking close to home for that one. But if you go see Chuck, tell him I said, hey. Shitbird Militia says, when I found CG, I too thought they were too expensive. It is certainly a barrier to entry, but I haven't been disappointed yet. Quite the opposite. Well, you know, I did the math today for the first time, and I was shocked that, you know, the price point per page was right there with the same that Marvel and DC produces, and you know, when you support them, you're supporting this mega company that doesn't give a shit about you, that tries to push ideology on you, and brainwash kids with their nonsense stories. So for $4 or $5, you're buying something that you don't like. And when you buy a Compass comic or other crowdfunded CG books, you're getting much better quality. You're supporting local artists. Well, if you live around here, I'm local, but I mean you're supporting the private artist himself, and that goes a long way in producing great products too. There's passion there. That's the thing that's missing. You've got you got editors and people that are cashing a paycheck for this mega corporation that don't give a crap about the lineage of these characters or the history of that company. They don't care. I'm telling you right now, and it shows in the product. But independents, they care uh, passionately about what they're doing, or they wouldn't be doing it. Doggy's got it on the nose here. Quality books for a little more beats getting crappy books from the mainstreams. Here, here. Hey guys, if you haven't done so, please hit that like button, help my algorithm, and subscribe to the channel so you'll get notifications for when I go live on shows and stuff like that. Vero Frady says Isom 1 cost nearly $50 with tax and shipping with no extras and ended up throwing them out at $5. No way that and ended up throwing them out at $5. So no way that's fair. What Eric put them up for $5 later? I'm not quite sure I understand. But I always hate to see dissatisfied customers. Oh, JP Roca ordered the original Monster Island last Wednesday and got it all ready today. Yeah, as soon as the order comes in, it goes to Julie, and she's over there right now. What she's doing is she's prepping all the bags for the books for Ghost of Matacumba Key when they come in. It should be, I think, next week. So she's taking, these things and filling them up with all the goodies that when the books and the backing boards and all that. So when the books come in, boom, they can go right on in, seal it up, put them in the Gemini mailers, and out they go. But when orders come in for the website, she stops what she's doing and takes care of that very day. Jiminy says, I hear you, Graham, but the cost to customers is prohibitive. Many of us simply can't afford to buy many of these books because they cost so much. Okay, I've got your problem solved. Just buy mine. And I'm not kidding. Well, thank you, Austin. That's so great to hear. I love what I'm doing, and I'm hoping that translates to you guys, and it sounds like it does. And the comic books are pricey just due to their low volume and niche market. Well, you know what? I think we just went over that they're not pricey. You're paying the same per page rate that you're paying for Marvel and DC. You're getting more. You can't buy an indie comic with only 20 pages in it to keep it on par. So you're buying more product. You're getting better product. So it really it's not due to the low volume and niche market appeal. Michael says, ever the voice of reason, Graham. If you find crowdfunded book too expensive, the hope is that creators will release omnibus editions at a later date. Backers also pay to get to read the books first. Absolutely. Backers come first. Okay, let me pose this question to you, Johnny. I have no problem paying for quality. That being said, when a crowdfunded book disappoints, it hurts a little extra. All right, so let's say you buy this X-Men miniseries. You got 20 pages, so you buy it's a 4-issue series. Now you've got 60 pages for around the same price as buying, let's say, Joe Frankenstein, and you hate that. It's the same thing. You've spent the same amount of money, only you've had to go back to your local comic book shop 4 times, and it's a crappy story. There's hits and misses. It's the risk you take, I guess, with anything. Standalone Fruit wants to know, how far along are you when you solicit? I'm not along at all. Pretty much, I have the cover done. I might have 5 or 10 pages of interior done, just so that I can show them on the web, on the Indiegogo campaign. But that's the whole point of crowdfunding. If I could get the whole damn thing done on my own, I would. And it would be a whole different animal, But that's what crowdfunding is about: is to put that out there, put what you have, put your idea, sell your idea, your concept, and hope people will, embrace it and support it. Yeah, I don't believe in doing a ton of work and find out that it's not resonating. But that's never happened. So, the more stuff you can put up on the Indiegogo campaign, the better. But primarily for me, I just I get the cover done. I'll get the bookmark, because everybody gets a bookmark, so I always get that done immediately, and then I start working on some pages, and then post them as they get done. But sometimes I'll launch with just a couple pages. Thank you, Stippling. I've always felt you get your value for what you pay for a Nolan verse book or a Bach. Here's a good point. Bloody Drake says, I think the books are great value. Shipping to Canada is hard. It's why I've tried to bundle up multiple books in a single backing. Eaglerius Rex 1 and 2 with supplemental Wraith of God 1 and 2 bundle. I know people that have like some type of mailing address in the US and the States, and then when they back these various books, that's the address it goes to, and then they're packaged up there and set all at once to Canada or to England or wherever it may be. It seems that they save a lot of money doing it that way, so that might be something to consider if you're if you back a lot of books. Jim Alaska, $20 super chat. That is a very good cigar, sir. Thank you. It goes without saying that crowdfunded comics take more time than the mainstream ones, but what is a reasonable amount of time to get said crowdfunded comics? 1 year, 3 year, or 5 years? Can't wait to get Ghost of Medical McKee. I think anything over a year is outrageous, personally. Once your campaign closes and it goes in demand, then you should be that's when you should really start the actual rolling up the sleeves, sitting at the board and getting the pages done. So depending on how many pages are in your book, how fast you are, I think a year is more than reasonable. But anything over a year um, is it gets a little dicey, I think. But having said that, if the creator puts on there that this will be fulfilling in 2026, that going into it, that it's 2026, because he knows himself and maybe it's going to take him that long to do it. Fine. No problem. No harm, no foul there. Everybody's on board with that date. Now, if 2027 rolls around and it's taken you 3 years now, that's a problem. So again, understand your own production schedule. What can you produce? And the thing you got to factor in too is the amount of ancillary time you have to spend doing this stuff, doing your promotional work, doing your shows, because that's how you really reach people is through a YouTube presence. And so you just can't have a shill show where you get up there and you just start, I'm selling, like the Home Shopping Network. You have to provide content and entertainment or education, whatever. Something like you have to offer something to your viewers so that you can start to build that audience. But that takes time. It takes you away from the board. So you have to factor that in as well. Because as I said, you're a one-man show and you got a lot of hats. You got to, I got my artist hat. I got my writer hat. I got my marketing hat. I've got my YouTuber hat. I've got my shipping and fulfillment hat. I've got my print guy who handles printing. That kind of hat. I was trying to think of a hat for that, but I blew it. But so I hope I answered that question right. The Angry Gamer says, I got to grab Joe Frankenstein 2. I missed out. No worries. They're available. All my books are always available after my backers have been fulfilled on the Compass Comics website. So Joe 2 is there. I always encourage people to get on board during the campaigns, because then you get all the goodies, you get the lowest price, and it's just a better deal all around for you. But sometimes people don't know about it, or there's financial problems, or things have come up. The car just blew a transmission. I get it, but that's why I have the website so that all that stuff can be there and people can get caught up. I found crowdfunding and I like it due to quality content, and I know it's going to creators directly. I bought Joe Frankenstein Part 1 and got it within a week. So thanks, Graham. Thank you, Warren. If you got it within a week, you must have bought it on the website. Project's done poorly for $5. Super chat. Thank you, sir. If anyone says crowdfunding is not good and they sell comics, I refuse to buy them. Crowdfunding has changed everything and has been a positive. Well said, sir. Well said. Yeah, shipping to Canada. There's a lot of that going on back here. I'm not going to read all those. I think we've more than covered it. I don't know what you wrote, but your name just kills me. Mandy's Titty Milk. Okay. To answer your question, yes, for international backers, crowdfunding is too expensive. Besides, shipping the 30% increase is a tough pill to swallow if there isn't an exclusive to add value. Well, talk to your postal service, my friend. I don't charge $45 to ship a comic to Canada. I charge 20. And our commie government taxes are income heavily for shit healthcare. Yeah, I hear you, buddy. Like I said, I live in Buffalo. I'm right on the border there. Got a lot of Canadians coming over for Sabres games and Bills games and stuff like that. And I hear it from them too. Yeah, 45 is a lot to ship to Canada, I gotta say. I think I charge 20, but I'm pretty sure that reads out at 25 or 30 to ship to Canada. So, I mean, yeah, I'm taking a loss, but 45 is, that's a padding. Trudeau and his cabal of evil ministers destroyed this country. By the way, he never got a vote from me. Still cannot understand how he continues to win elections here. Makes you think. I never thought in my entire lifetime that Joe Biden would ever make it to president. He was a horrible senator for 40 years, was wrong on every foreign policy issue ever. He was a liar and a plagiarist. And now he's demented, and this is what we got. So I feel your pain, dude. Your Chinook snow globe still has a place of pride on my mantle. Thank you for creating something so lovely and cool. Thank you. I didn't keep one of those for myself. I could kick myself for that. Oh, by the way, the with Valentine's Day coming up, there's a 20% sale on the website for the Chinook plushies. It's going to go on till I believe February 7th. So it's 20% off. It's a great deal. It's going to be. I originally wanted them for Valentine's Day, but it took so long from China to not China from the design elements to get it right and everything to get it out in a timely fashion. So, but here we have them. They're in stock, and if you order them, they'll go out tomorrow, and you'll have them for Valentine's Day at a 20% discount. So, go to the website and check them out. Be a great gift for your girlfriend. Great gift for your boyfriend. There's my mi amigo, Kelly Jones. Crowdfunding as a creator means I'm free to tell my stories without interference. And Kelly Jones can tell great stories. So good to see you, bud. Ooh, Jasper Plan 9 just had hand surgery. Wow. Hope you're feeling up to it, buddy. Not sure if anyone uses it already, but Pirate Ship has a fantastic rates for Canada. Oh, there you go. US to Australia shipping price almost makes sense until you realize it's the same to Canada. It's all politics. Yeah, yeah. I don't want to sound like I'm dumping on Canada. I love Canada. Um, but when we were shipping out the Chinook plushies, we had a whole bunch that went up to Canada, and almost every one of them came back to me because on uh, the form, the customs form, I listed it as a toy. Now, these went out to other countries and listed as toy. It sailed through, no problem. There was a couple other countries that did kick back, but almost universally, they all came back from Canada, and that it had to be more specific. It had to be plush toy. Okay. So I ate a lot of postage on that one too. Here, here, Henry. Here, here. Thank you, Mike. That's much appreciated. I've bought every campaign Graham's offered, worth the cost of shipping here to Canuckistan. That's funny. Canuckistan. I was up in Toronto one time. You guys know I love cigars. Uh, but this was before I got into it. This is many, many years ago. And a bunch of us were over there, and we decided to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And up the street was a cigar shop. And just like now, um, Canada can still they can get Cuban cigars. They're boycotted here in the U.S., so we can't get them here. So I went into the cigar shop, and I saw that they had Cuban cigars. I'm like, "Ooh, a Cuban cigar! I got to try that." So I bought it. I lit it up, and it was so dry. I swear that guy must have had that in there from the time Castro started the revolution. I think it was sitting in that humidor since 1959. It just went up like it was so dried out. That was my first experience with a Cuban cigar in Toronto. Oh, shucks, Dan, you're going to make me blush. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jasper. Graham's comics are not too expensive. They're worth the wait and worth every penny. My only criticism for Mr. Nolan is he adds awesome stuff into his campaigns after launch. I backed Ghosts 4 times. Now you see my evil ways, Jasper. Gable penny shot. Agreed. I mean, even I don't believe the old DC prestige books had ads in them. They were like a special thing. In fact, they weren't sold on newsstands either. They were only in comic shops back when they were still on newsstands. So yeah, I agree. Researching printers is important. I can use a local printer and pick it up from them. In fact, it's the printer for Alien Alamo. Ah, oh, okay. Fry Communications. Yeah, they did a good job. They also printed the Chinook. I would love that. The people that print all my other stuff, all the other goodies that I showed you is a local company here. They're awesome. And I always try to spend and buy local when I can. But it's just not possible for the printing of the books. There's nobody around here that could do it. Where I could drive over and pick them up, or they could just drive their truck over to my place and drop them off. So I wish it was. I wish I could do that. Let's see. I'm not sure I understand this. I understand you take a shipping hit. Have you thought about adding an exclusive to your international backers to add the value we deserve for the terrible exchange rate we face on top of the extra shipping? I'm not quite sure what you're suggesting there to do. So sorry about that. So the answer is I don't know. Have you and other CGers thought about to buy promotional ads in each other's books? We've talked about that. Maybe even having like one ad that would have all the logos of the companies and the websites and all that kind of stuff on there, and then we wouldn't buy it. Everybody would just print it in their books. But yeah, we've been talking about doing something like that. But you know what? Trying to get a bunch of creatives together is like herding cats. I can tell you that right now. When I did Giant Size Two Fisted Manly Tales, I was strictly a publisher and a writer because I was one of the 5 writers for the book. But as a publisher, it was like, I was wrangling cats, Where's those pages? Come here. They're tough to deal with. Sauron, you and Kelly Jones were Batman to me, and thank God you guys are still making great comics. Thank you, buddy. Speaking for myself, yes, too expensive. I can afford $25 like twice a year. Um, well, again, if you're coming in late, we broke down the cost per page versus buying Marvel and DC books. So if you like the crowdfunding books, don't buy those Marvel and DC books, and then you would have the money to buy more crowdfunding books because we're right around the same cost per page of content in the books. So find those creators who you really like and really support their work, and I think you can make it happen if I'm predicating this on if you're buying the periodicals from Marvel and DC. Do you have a favorite representation, book, movie, video game of Bane? Batman the Animated Series. It's a good question. What is a Bancroft? Cape Plan 1142, much appreciated, sir. Thank you. Chris Thacker was at GSCF as well, slugging down bourbon and smoking cigars and telling lies with us. It was fun. No, I don't agree. The reason Bane was able to be Batman is because Batman was not in his prime. that he had worn him down and beat him up mentally first. Is why he was able to beat him. When Batman finally met Bane again in Detective 701, when Batman was, the Batman, he beat the shit out of Bane. You spelled bourbon wrong. You spelled it right. Deresatron. Absolutely love your work. Graham, I read a lot of your work through DC. I am yet to get your independent being in Australia, but working on it. Well, much appreciated, sir. Thank you. How do you format those black and white files for print? I've always been curious how you put something like that together. Well, the formats are it's a grayscale for black and white. Um, Typically, they're PDFs. I format them as TIFFs, and depending on the publisher you're using, or the printer you're using, they'll tell you the format they need, whether it's a PDF or a TIFF file. And they have templates with their crop marks, their bleeds, and their live areas, which, like all lettering, has to stay in the live area. Otherwise, you risk being cropped. So I hope I answered that question. Just got my first book from Aaron. That was like a leather velvet cover. I love that. Now I want all my books to feel that way. I think he does the same thing I do, and that he has them laminated, um, and it really is a beautiful feel. Velvet is the word I would use. It's a velvety feel. Oh, excellent keynote. Thank you. I'm excited too. I'm really excited because Monster Island's the one that started it all. In 1998, I started Compass Comics. I did Monster Island. 2018, I did Return to Monster Island for a different publisher. So that's why I'm publishing it again in my own format, my Compass Comics format, and under the Compass Comics banner, so that all the Monster Island books will all now look the same and look great in a library. And if I do more after the three of the trilogy, then they will all look in that format and will just look fantastic on a shelf. Yeah, Literature Devil's here. Hey there, buddy. Simply Green says, I like to think of it like the Renaissance, except instead of a single wealthy individual paying an artist to create, it's a lot of people giving a little. Absolutely. Eric doesn't understand the crowdfunding model, thinks it's a scam. Graham described exactly why we like crowdfunding. Yeah, I think so. Thank you, Letters of the Chef's Kiss. I like that. I don't know. Maybe it's because of how many I have to print. Could be. Size of paper. It's not like a ton of inks on it. So I don't know. Oh, Lit Devil really enjoyed Alien Alamo. Thank you, buddy. Hey, thanks, Chris. Do I have any artwork done by Dale Keown? No, I do not. Can we have a CG bourbon and cigar corner and get a CG Kings thing? It's interesting to me what you smoke and drink. Well, you'll have to come to one of the shows where I do my cigar fest and Hawaiian shirt party. I've done it twice now at Garden State Art Festival. I've done it in Tampa. I've done it in MegaCon. A lot of fun. Oh, Jimmy Reyes is here. Hi, Jimmy. Support American small business. Support Compass Comics. Support CG. Say it loud. Say it proud, Kino. Admiral Wackass, Graham Nolan, Aaron Lopresti, Andy Smith, Diaz Brothers, Bancroft, etc. are the gold standard of running crowdfunding. Bought a lot of books and been disappointed, but never these guys. Thank you, pal. True Art 7 is here. Hello. This sounds like the talk of an old man. There's only 6 months between me and Art. Hail CG. I got into CG books because everyone claims you're buying collectibles. However, that only works if you have a resale market, which there isn't for an international backer. I don't know that anybody's producing the comics as collectibles. They're producing comics as stories. Now, you could say that like sign up trading cards are collectibles because they're limited and only the people that signed up can get them. Or you're offering CGC things, versions of the book. Those are collectibles. But the comics themselves, I don't think you can say just outright they're collectible. Will Monster Island books be available even after the campaign is closed? And didn't you say the first Monster Island books will be in the new campaign 2. So yes and yes. They'll be on the website like all my other books after backers are fulfilled. And the first Monster Island book, which will be printed for this campaign, will be there as well. Preach it, Art. Yeah, I would rather pay more for one good ribeye than a bunch of shitty McDonald's burgers, for sure. And that's what I'm selling, folks. I'm selling ribeyes. Ribeyes. Not Big Macs, not McDonald's. Hi, Bassmaster Dan. Yes, I did meet Herd Trimpy. Heck of a nice guy. Really, really nice guy. I don't have the voice for it, Chris. In fact, I'm going to probably just sign off now because I got to go on Pop XP at 9 o'clock. And I need to get some water on my throat and rest it a little bit so I can make it through that show. So I encourage all you guys to get over there. We're going to be talking about Monster Island. I got a cool Steven Spielberg story to tell there. So tune into Pop XP at 9 o'clock. It'll be all things MI. And I really appreciate you coming in here. I appreciate the super chats. I appreciate hanging with you. If it wasn't for this throat and voice, I'd keep going, keep scrolling through. But, you know, there's so many comments here. I just don't know if I can get through them all. So I think I got all the super chats. I don't want to leave any of you guys hanging. Oh, wait a minute. No, I did miss one. Oh, I missed a few, actually. Hold on a second. I'm not going anywhere yet. Okay, I think the Vespa guy for $10 super chat. Thank you, buddy. I'm new to all this, but from what I've seen from you and other CG folks, you all love what you create. And even if I don't like a story, I still end up with something that has value. Hail CG. I like the cut of your jib, sir. Yeah, very cool. Thank you. Project's done poorly. If anyone says crowdfunding is not good and they sell, oh, I think I read that one. Okay. Johnny Scab, $2, English pounds. Keep an eye out for Malin Mysteries. You're in episode 5. Okay. Is that good or bad? I'm not sure. Dr. Kino says, save your voice. Make a hot tea with honey or lemon and whiskey. Yes. I like the whiskey part. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll have some Irish coffee. I'll make some of that before the show. I found crowdfunding after abandoning comics for 15 years. The quality is worth the wait. Got all your books, and they are top-notch stories and art. Thank you, Preston Sparks, for that $5 super chat and for those very, very kind words. All right, my friends, I'm going to tap out here. I'm going to go get me some of that prescription. And I will see you guys over at Pop XP in about a half an hour. All right? If you're not there, have a great night. And thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.